Welcome to another edition of Budget in Focus. I am Stacey Carmichael and I'm joined now by Minister within the Ministry of Communities with responsibility for housing, Mrs. Valerie Patterson Yearwood. Welcome, Minister.
Thank you.
And my first question to you is Budget 2018. Could you give us some general thoughts?
Okay, first of all, Budget 2018, I would consider it a people's budget. And I say that because when you look in depth into the budget, my impressions are that it focuses on all levels of society. We see something in the budget for the youth, we see for the elderly, we see for low, middle, and high-income earners, all sectors in the business. It covers housing, it covers forestry, it covers taxation, and I think I want to pause there to say that I think Guyanese are really happy with the fact that Budget 2018 does not present any new tax. So it covers all sectors. And so for me, it's a complete budget, and it takes into consideration all facets of life.
Thank you for that response, Minister. Now, housing. It's a very important aspect for development for families. Could you tell us of some of your projections under your department? What are some of the things that you'll be doing to improve the livelihood of Guyanese?
Well, first of all, as the budget theme is the journey to the good life continues, and at CHMP, we have started on that journey. Early in this year, you would have remembered that we had the first housing exhibition where we had the model village set up. In that model village, CHMPA built 6 duplexes of concrete and wood, and we also built 2 single elevated houses. We launched a survey at that exhibition, and much to our surprise, because I remembered when the idea of the duplex was introduced, persons had a lot of negative things to say. But I can tell you, when we actually built those models, it were actual houses that were built, and persons went there and they saw the quality of the houses. They saw the modern design of the houses. They saw that it was spacious enough to contain their families, and even the yard spaces that were given. Many persons opted for the houses rather than a house lot. The other thing is also that persons opted for houses because they don't want the hassle that one has to go through to build a house. The hassle with the contractors, the hassle with excess payment that they have to make, the hassle with poor quality work, poor materials being used. So persons have posed their confidence in CHMP now to build. So those houses at the exhibition site was just to entice people and to give them an idea of what we plan to do in 2018. Based on that response, we have begun some major works in housing. As we speak, anyone going to the Perseverance site would see in construction right now 2-bedroom houses, single houses, flats. We're just commenced 3-bedroom houses. They'll see houses on stilts in construction right now. We have 40 duplexes, concrete, flat duplexes in construction right now. And so there's massive infrastructure work going on there, and will continue in 2018. The other thing is, that's for Region 4, or let me say for the East Bank. In 2018, we're going to be doing infrastructure work, and we're going to be facilitating house lots and building of houses in Cummins Lodge. We're also currently engaged in building in Underneming Region 2, Underneming Region 3, because I know some persons are not au fait. In Region 5, at Hope Experiment, we have commenced, and in Region 10, in Amelia's Ward. Also slated for 2018 is construction of houses in Region 6, particularly in New Amsterdam and Ordnance Fort Lance. And we are in negotiation right now with the management, the mayor and RDC chair in Lethem. We have identified a plot of land and we're working things out. So 2018 should see the commencement of that project. We are also slated to go to Bartica in Region 7 to meet with the administration because of their green agenda, and you know they have a whole new project that was done during last year. So we're going to meet with them to identify lands in Bartica to do housing also. Region 8, some persons might ask themselves, why haven't I been hearing anything in Region 8? But we have problems with the lands there. Lands that were given to us in the past was later reclaimed because it is said that gold is on the ground. In Region 3, we're also doing some work. We've identified some lands that we recently purchased from Gaisuko, and we're going to do some massive work in there. So persons can expect a massive housing drive for 2018. And let me say, added to that, we have also engaged some private developers who they're willing to come on board with us. Some of them are requesting that government does the infrastructure and they will build. And that means that the cost of the house will be reduced because government will absorb most of the infrastructure costs. And some have their own financing that they're coming with, from the Exim Bank, some from the Islamic Bank, and so on. So the focus from now to 2020, it's one of priority for housing for this government. And then we want to encourage our young people, and that's the reason why last budget I announced the age of application being changed from 21 years to 18 years, because we want to encourage young people to own their own homes. And I can tell you, I'm really impressed with what I'm seeing. Young people are coming. They're applying for the house lots. They're behind me. Just the other day, I had a group of them come to visit me because they're saying, Minister, if you're allocating house lots, people since in 1993 and 2000, when will we get ours? So I'm at a point of compromise, because if I really and truly want to encourage them, even though their applications are dated 26 and 17, I have to give some of them allocations once they have the capacity to build.
Okay, thank you, Minister. Talking about house lots from years gone, in terms of the backlog, if I should call it that, of housing applications, is there a plan on how these will be distributed over, next year and following years?
That's a very hard question. Now, let me say this. CHMP has to take responsibility for that backlog. In some cases, and this is no secret, some persons have applied 2 and 3 times. So in our system, I am knowledgeable of the fact that the figure that shows there of close to 50,000 now is not a correct figure. So we are at the point sanitizing our system. Secondly, there are some persons who have they have purchased a house or house lot from some private developer. If we have knowledge of that, we're not going to put you on the priority list. Our priority right now is the low income, moderate, middle income state employees and youths. And so that's our focus. And indeed, I can recall we had an ad out for persons who have applications, I think from 1993 to I think 97, I can't remember the year. And a whole pile of persons came in. Now, I'm not sure if all those persons are really and truly in need of a house lot or a house. And so we're sanitizing it right now. Some of those letters that came into us, the persons are overseas, some of them have died and relatives bring the letters. So we're going through that process. But we are desirous of dealing with persons way back then and get them out of the system. And we're also looking at our young people who have recently applied.
In your presentation in the House, you mentioned securing a $30 million loan from the Inter-American Development Bank. Could you say what, once secured, what that loan will be used for in terms of housing, more housing development?
Well, I like the term once secured because we have not yet secured it. We have gone through the process, completed all the requirements, and I can tell you it was a real task. But the management, they stood up to the task, and we have succeeded in meeting all the requirements. Once that $30 million US comes into our hands, oh, I nearly say hallelujah, because we're going to do some massive infrastructure. But let me say this clearly. That money can only be used for Sapphire, the Diamond, and Parfait Harmony. We can take that money and take it to Linden or Berbice or Essequibo. There is a borders that we have to stick to. So we're going to do massive infrastructure upgrade. We're going to upgrade the roads. We're going to do concrete drains, parapets. A section of that money will be used to build core houses. And let me say this, not the core house that you see now that we have. We're going to do an upgraded model core house. Because most of our low-income people, sadly, cannot get qualified through the commercial banks. And many of them have managed to purchase the house lot, but can't build. So we believe that if we can build core houses, give them something looking proper. I always say to the management, not because somebody is poor, you must give them a house that looks poor. Because if we're talking about this good life that this government offers, and I can tell you yes, then we must give something that looks good and that person can feel proud to be a homeowner. So infrastructure work, we can do recreational facilities, we can do the core houses, but we're limited as to which areas we can use that money to upgrade.
Okay, and you said limited in terms of the IDB loan once secured.
Yeah.
What about the other areas?
Because it was really, that money was really for the Sheriff Mandela project. And it was supposed to do simply or basically infrastructure work. But somewhere along the line, the Minister of Finance was able to secure part of it for us, and I'm really grateful and thankful because we can even do work in the Commons Lodge and industry areas. We're hoping that part of Commons Lodge and industry can be those areas we can be upgraded and do the core houses to do this quarter relocation from constituencies 5 and 6, which is the Sophia, Patterson, Lilendal areas. Yeah. They don't like us to refer to them as Sophia, so.
Okay, and some projects were terminated. You made mention of that. For those projects that were terminated, what is the way forward come 20?
Well, as I mentioned in the presentation, we retendered those projects in 2017. And those projects, they have commenced work and they're at varying degrees of completion, right? So they're all ongoing.
Okay, and as we're focusing on budget and looking forward to the journey, the continuing of the journey, strengthening CHPA, what are some of the steps that will be taken to strengthen?
Okay, one of the main things is capacity building, because you can do all the infrastructure and everything, and if you don't build capacity of your human resource, then you will fail. So that is in focus. And we are also looking at using monies from the 2018. I didn't really want to say this, but we're also looking at improving what we offer to staff in terms of benefits. CHNPA staff, when I started working there in 2016, January, their motivation level was very low. Persons came to work late, persons treated customers anyhow, and I can tell you we're not 100% there, but we're getting there. And one lady said to me about a month ago when she came to my office, she said, I never came to CHNPA and get such a warm, welcoming feeling like what I'm getting. But we're working, we're doing staff training, staff development for every level of staff. And we believe that if we can build the capacity of our staff, then the service that is delivered to the customers will be at the highest level, or at least higher than where they were last year. So I feel that is important. I've implemented a Employee of the Month award, and persons look forward every month to see whose name is going to be pulled, and whoever name is pulled, that person gets $20,000. And at the end of the year, because we're in December now, so I have to pay out some big bucks this month, because apart from the Employee of the Month, we have an Employee of the Year that comes from the 12 persons who were identified, and that person gets $50,000. The supervisor of that person also gets $50,000. So I just reminded myself that I have to pay some money. But, you know, all in all, we're trying to improve. The most important thing to me as minister is to see my staff highly motivated, and two, that we give the best level customer service to our customers.
Thank you. My other question would be infrastructure development. We touched on it a little bit, but in some other areas, we mentioned, you know, Central Georgetown, East Bank, and a little bit on the Berbies, the other areas. What are some other infrastructure works that you have planned for 2018?
Okay, right now we've commenced the electrification project in 16 areas along East Bank, East Coast, Berbies, most of it being East Bank and East Coast. And we are guaranteeing some of these communities electricity for Christmas, and we'll complete the others within the first quarter of next year. We're doing infrastructure works in every region, with the exception of Region 8, as I mentioned. And we're upgrading roads and drainage and every possible thing that our monies can afford us to do. And sometimes people look for every street to be done in the housing areas. And we are also working on doing like parks and putting in solar lights and so on. So I think 2018, this journey continuing into 2018 is going to be a very joyous one. And I can just predict the journey going to 2020, what it's going to be like. But I'm happy to be on this journey.
Housing Solutions 2017 and beyond, an update.
All these housing that we're doing is part of Housing Solutions 2017 and beyond. And I'm encouraging people to go into perseverance. See what we're doing, see what's going on in the country. Every time, I think in October, I had some elderly folks that I brought down from Linden, about 130 of them, to tour Georgetown. And I took them in there, and they were like blown away because they have no idea. First of all, a lot of persons don't even know there's a place called Perseverance on the East Bank. And so when people drive through there, they're blown. They never knew all this is happening. But yes, we don't have to blow our own trumpets. But yes, we are working, and all that we do is in the best interest of the citizens of this country.
All right, thank you very much, Minister. Now, as we wrap up, we prepare to wrap up the program. Any closing remarks concerning Budget 2018?
Well, I want, first of all, people to understand that this government, this APNUFC government, is a government for the people. And whatever we do, one of the first things the president will say to us, ensure that you engage the people. Ensure that the people are comfortable. Ensure that people are on board with what we're doing. And so 2018 budget is one that the citizens of Guyana must be happy to boast about, because as I said, there is something in there for everybody. And I forgot to mention that budget 2018, in there's a VAT removal, 14% VAT from houses that we build or houses that are built on our behalf. So every person who buys a house, and our duplexes are being sold for 6.5 million. So every person who buys a house up to that price do not have to pay, or does not have to pay 14% VAT. It therefore means, as I said in the budget speech, you can take that money if you are buying cash and walk into courts and furnish your house. $910,000 is what every homeowner will benefit when they buy a house that we build or a house that is built on our behalf. Isn't that something worth boasting about and worth calling somebody or WhatsApping somebody and tell them about? We WhatsApp for all kinds of things. WhatsApp and say what the positives in 2018 budget is all about. So I encourage people to get on board and don't listen to the naysayers. They have a role to play. And that is why, you know, God is an astonishing God, that He made the positive and the negative, and the two must go together. And so we can't not have the naysayers among us. But when they come, don't join them. Let's tell them, look, don't see the glass half empty, see it half filled. And we're getting there. Every year it's getting closer to being filled.
Thank you very much, Minister. And thank you, viewers. It was another episode of Budget in Focus, and I was joined by Minister within the Ministry of Communities with responsibility for housing, Mrs. Valerie Patterson, Yearwood. Thank you.